So more than likely, this is going to be a shorter episode. I think based off of the feedback for the last episode and the fact that we have a 1-4 record, maybe we are still a season or perhaps two away from it being worth following this season or, following a season game by game. Odds are this is going to go one way and it's going to go poorly. Maybe we pick up a couple more wins this year. But let's be honest, not that I expected us to be anywhere near the playoffs, but it's probably going to be a loss after a loss after a loss. So the game plan for this episode is simple. We sim to the end of the year. That's pretty straightforward and self-explanatory. And we take a look at the season, do the whole season recap as we normally do. And then we end things at the beginning of the draft, where you guys, of course, will again be able to vote as we lose to Washington. I was debating whether or not to keep this part of it live. In terms of what we have to do, we don't have to sign anybody else. It's pretty much just scout, sim, and then take a look at the end of season stats. So I was tempted, but I think, what do we want to do? I'm going to keep it live. I'm going to keep it live for those who care. If you don't care, just skip ahead a little bit. And I'll see you at the end of the season. Or if you don't even care about the season stats, I'll see you when we take a look at who the top options are in the draft. How's that sound? Hopefully good. Hopefully good. So let's see what we can do here against the 4-3 Ravens. Let's be honest, it's not going to go what we actually want. We actually won. We get 2 upgrade points for players who are not even ours, so that's actually, no, Sidney Fletcher is ours. I was mistaken on that front, but go figure, we get the win. I'm going to laugh about time we finish 500. What do you think? Place your bets now. We finishing 500? No, we're not. How close to 500 are we finishing, though? That's the real question. I'm going to scout this guy in the 7th round. Of course, he's terrible. I usually never scout guys in the 7th round. It was worth it on this occasion, as we are going to spam all of the buttons. All of them. All of them. And it'll be fine. Playing the 5-2 Seahawks in Week 9. Can we pull off another miracle? We can't. We lose 28-10. Of course, we've had some interesting results against Seattle and San Francisco. Mack improves. He makes it up to an 80 overall, which is pretty nice. Awareness and catching, both up. So again, the 25-year-old looking pretty good. 65th ranked wide receiver in the league. So looking good for us. Probably the 3rd at best wideout on most other teams. He is our number 1, of course, at least at the moment. Let's take a look at Sean Lawrence, and there's a lot of 4th rounders, but they're still worth scouting. 5th rounders also worth scouting. Okay, nearly not. If we have 2 undrafted talents in a row, I normally hold back, and let's be honest, with that many 6th round picks, most of them are going to be projected undrafted talents, so we'll go ahead and avoid that front. Actually, let's double check here. What do we need to take a look at? Quarterback, again, looking at one of these top 4, if they fall back in the draft, might not be the worst idea. Also, shout out to the movie Backdraft, still an underrated film. So let's see. Kevin Brooks, thank you for your service. Is there a quarterback scout? Of course there isn't. Right. Well, running back-wise, we know we're good, despite the injury this season to Mr. Jamon Hughes. So I guess Will Barnett. Let's double-check wideouts just to make sure we're good on that front. I don't believe we've scouted wideouts. We pretty much started on defense. So quarterback-wise, if we have any points left at the end, we'll take a look on that front. Maybe even scout out the top 2 running backs, but let's be honest, we don't need them. So wide receiver is what will get our attention. Gabriel Peters, number 1 on the board, and perhaps rightfully so. Also, for the hell of it, as far as the draft stories are concerned, right? There you go. I'm not going to sit here and recap them for those of you who care about draft stories, which I'm saying, it's not that there isn't a reason to care about draft stories. There are. It's just, Lord knows, I've had enough experience where people have been like, oh my God, this guy should be great, and then the draft stories player ends up being a bust. So, it happens. That's all I'm saying. Let's sim this game here against the Rams. Hopefully they lose like they're going to in the Super Bowl. They did. See? There you go. Patriots are winning another one. You heard it here first. Le'Veon Cole, potentially up to an 85. I forgot to do captaincy again. Shit. Next season. At this point, next season we'll have another vote on captaincy because I am the worst. Obviously, uploads for every series of mine has kind of slipped as I'm not necessarily recharging the batteries, but you look at the whole, let's take a look back. The hindsight series that I'm doing, taking a look back at old NHL games, which I don't know if I'm going to do for other sports games. We'll find out soon. But that's kind of a way for me to really recharge my batteries before getting, heavy into the consistent uploads again, which still, fairly consistent. I'm not the 3 weeks between an upload YouTuber. Not taking shots at anybody. I'm just saying that's how some people handle it. You get the point. Let's play the Steelers in Week 11. See what happens. We get another win. We're 4-6 on the season. There is actually an outside chance as Darby Klemm, Marcus Farrell, and Antoine McIntosh all improve. There is actually a chance of us finishing 500 this season, which would be a massive, massive milestone for us. So make Marcus a little bit better in terms of possession. Good improvement there for the now 78 overall. And Antoine McIntosh, one of our biggest disappointments in terms of draft picks, at least gets up to a 74. Don't think you'll be a captain next season, buddy, but you never know. People might vote you in now because of what I said. So, just shooting myself in the foot there. He is a veteran on the team. He kind of, sort of deserves it, right? Maybe? Yeah, let's go with that. Holy 4th round picks, man. Holy 4th round picks. We'll scout the 2 5th rounders and the 7th rounders we will ignore. In terms of tight ends, we'll definitely take a look at some of the tight end options and then get into scouting the O-line. And aside from that, I hope you enjoy white flashes on your screen. We do have to take a look at left outside linebackers, which I completely managed to miss. So we can swoop back in a moment. We should still have plenty of points to pull this off. So let's go find ourselves a tight end scout. Shall we, Mr. Barnett? Thank you for your 2 weeks of work. It is greatly appreciated. Moose! Welcome back, Moose. It's good to have you here. Good to see you. How's the wife? How's the kids? God, they grow up so fast, don't they? Anyway, Moose, I'm going to need you to take a look at old Quinn Coppin here, who could be pretty damn good. I'm not sure if we're going to want to take a tight end in the first round. Depends on where we finish the season, because we are certainly not on pace for a number 1 pick yet again. Good things could happen, though. Kyrie Griffith makes it up to an 80 overall. Good stuff. +3 to play recognition for the 24-year-old superstar development player. And BJ Long. Good stuff. Good stuff as he improves as well. Week 13, we'll be playing San Francisco. Again, a team that we have had some interesting results against throughout the short history of this series. And I think this might be, this is the year to take another true tight end. Oh, Walker Gray. Okay, Beckett was at least decent. Walker Gray, obviously. I don't always sit here and just spam the button. Sometimes I do. And sometimes it backfires, clearly. I shouldn't have done it on that occasion. Let's play the 6-5 Niners. Can we get the win? Yes, we can. 5 wins on the season. 4 games left this year. DeMarcus Reynaud finally improves. He'll be up to a 79. As +2 awareness is a pretty big boost. And Steven Jenkins makes it to a 74. Not too bad at all. Just +1s across the board. Bronson Desir is not ours. We don't have to worry about him. We'll just go ahead and auto-upgrade on that front. We're playing the 3-9 Bengals, so in case you needed further evidence that we're not anywhere near a number 1 pick, there you go. I'm just going to scout out these last 2 4th-round picks for the hell of it, or projections. Obviously, we won't take a look at the 6th round. Again, quarterback we don't really need. Running back we don't really need. If we lose our top quarterback, then we're screwed anyway, so who gives a shit? Let's take a look at the O-line. And, of course, we'll have to take a look at the left outside linebackers that are on the board that somehow I managed to forget to, which really, is it all that surprising? If you've watched a lot of my content, the answer is no. Also, I hate the word content. Oh, criminy, there's no offensive line scout. Right, and there's not a single linebacker scout either. Well, Haywood, welcome aboard. I mean, you need, when in doubt, sign Haywood Schnupp and realize that you're about to waste a shitload of points. And that you shouldn't have wasted the points that you wasted earlier. So let's take a look. Banks Austin looking pretty damn good. And there we go. There's that. So we'll take a look at those last two linebackers, more than likely, before moving on to the offensive line. Once we get the offensive line done, if there's time, we'll take a look at the quarterback. So we got blown out by that Bengals team, despite them having only 3 wins prior to that matchup. That's not exactly good for the morale. Not exactly great for the morale. All right, so, again, defensive line, it's good to go. To the O-line we go. Jarrell Whitaker looks like a beast. Absolute beast. Let's go through just the third round, or the players who are projected to go third round or sooner for now, and then we'll take a look at the options later on. We're playing the 4-9 Eagles, who we somehow have a better record than. Not anymore after that loss. We play the Giants and the Browns over the final 2 weeks of the season. Let's see what we have here. Cambrell Wims, I should say. Looking pretty good. Nathan Hansen there. Not a great draft. Shout out to Tanner Shatley. Not a great draft for the O-line. Again, like the top talents appear to be good, but from there, it's a steep drop-off. Who is injured? It is Jamius Mack, out for the season. He will miss the final 2 games. That is unfortunate. Can we beat the Giants? The answer is yes. 14-7. That puts us at 6-9. A solid, some would say nice record, as Demetrius Brooks makes it up to a 79 overall. Again, I've gone back and forth between just leveling up the top thing, the top archetype, the weakest archetype. At the end of the day, certain stats, I mean, it improves everything, right? You might not get the preferred stats, but still, he's improving. It's all that matters. So let's take a look here at Demetrius Greenberry. From there, let's go ahead and get the quarterback scouting out of the way in case we want a potential backup. And we'll scout the 2 running backs as well. And now we don't have to worry about it. So, it is the offensive line from there on out for our final bit of scouting. There's another injury. Doesn't really matter at this point. Let's play the Browns. We finished the year at 6-10. Let's take a look at the yearly awards. Ezekiel Elliott is league MVP. We have nobody there. Coach of the year, Thomas Pita in Seattle. No votes for us, of course. Again, the AFC awards, as per usual, I'm just going to breeze through relatively quickly for those who care to know. But obviously, the NFC is the only thing relevant to us. That's the one that we'll pay attention to. So there you go. In terms of Offensive Player of the Year, we had no nominees. Defensive Player of the Year, we had no nominees. Offensive Rookie of the Year, DeMarcus Reynaud finished second to Marshawn Brandon in Atlanta. So that's not too bad. Defensive Rookie of the Year, we have a winner, Darby Klemm. Good stuff, Darby Klemm. And Trey Gilmore was up there as well, the 76 overall. Top quarterbacks, nobody there. Best running backs, nobody there. Best wide receivers, Marcus Farrell finishes 7th. That's not too bad. In terms of the offensive line, nobody there. Defensive line, nobody there. Linebackers, we do have Darby Klemm. And in terms of defensive backs, Darian Meyer is 4th on the list. Best kicker, no Rasmussen. That is unfortunate. So there you go. We do have as well player upgrades. Oh, it's beautiful. So many greens. Mr. Meyer, let's make him better in terms of zone. Didn't get him up to an 87, but that's okay. At this point, it's worth it. +3 zone coverage. I'll take it. I will take it. 20th rated corner in the league at an 86. Darby Klemm, let's make him better in terms of field general. That gets him up to an 83. Again, I'm not necessarily going to continue to boost players up based off of scheme, because the scheme is going to continue to change depending on who else we get. but it does work out for the latter two in terms of them going up by an overall points. And last but not least, Marcus Farrell, make you better as a slot option. 79. He's a very well-rounded receiver. He's not a great receiver, but he is a very well-rounded receiver. So some good improvements for the team. Again, we absolutely screwed ourselves out of a higher-up pick, but that is okay. Matt Nagy, buddy, you want 3 years? I mean, I will offer you $5 million a season to stay because I can't afford to lose you and the bonuses that you provide. So let's just sit here for about another 5 seconds, and we'll offer you $2 million more per season than what you are asking for, because for the love of God, don't leave. Same thing for Winters. I will offer you more than double of what you are asking for, and of course, Haywood Schnupp, it doesn't matter. We hire and fire coaches on a whim. So again, the injury is not relevant. Let's take a look at the standings. So the Seahawks would have won the division. They also finished with the best record in the league. AFC North went to the Browns, AFC South to the Texans, Colts also made the playoffs, AFC East to the Bills, the Patriots also make it, AFC West to the Broncos. NFC North has 3 playoff teams, the Lions who win the division, the Packers and the Bears, NFC South to the Falcons, NFC East to the Cowboys, NFC West, of course, to the Seahawks. So in terms of the league standings, we finished 25th. 25th, our best finish to date. Good stuff. And I actually wanted to take a look in terms of points for, third fewest points against at a 388. Yeah, I'm surprised we finished as well as we did. Just looking at it, I'm kind of surprised that went as well as it did. So let's take a look here, shall we, in terms of team stats. I mean, we already got a basic look, but in terms of total yardage, we actually would have done okay. More towards the bottom, but that's all right. Passing yards, we were at, what, 42? That's not all that bad. Rushing yards, 1,100. That is bottom 5 in the league, but still, you know, point per game, 18. We're making progress, right? That's what we'll call it. We're improving, which we are, obviously. In terms of the player ratings, Joey McCormick over 4,200 yards, 20 touchdowns with 12 picks. It's not too bad. It's not too bad at all. Rushing-wise, DeMarcus Reynaud at 812 yards with 6 touchdowns. Ben Bacon, of course, got a little bit of opportunity after Hughes went down to injury. Receiving-wise, Marcus Farrell leads the way in terms of receptions and yardage. 6 touchdowns, tied with Jamius Mack, who might have beaten Farrell in that regard. Ricardo Marshall, of course, who we moved over from tight end. 73 receptions, 703 yards, 2 touchdowns, not that bad. Barry Bentley benefited quite well from being the number 1 tight end. 5 touchdowns on the season. Blocking-wise, God, our offensive line is still struggling. That's to be expected, though. Defensively, Darian Meyer led the way. 2 players with over 100 tackles on the season. Sack leader for the team was Frank King at 10.5. The interception leader, Meyer, at 4. 2 players had 1 each, and then nobody else. Nobody else. And Eric Rasmussen was terrible, although it is a very nice percentage that you had there, sir. So around the league, for the hell of it, just so that you can compare some of the numbers. Let's see what we have here. So in the NFL, total yardage goes to Matt Ryan. Total touchdowns probably goes to Watson. Indeed, it does. The only player to break 40. Rushing-wise, yardage, Zeke almost hit 2,000 yards, which is nuts. He also had the most touchdowns by a long shot. Receiving-wise, most receptions went to Zay Jones. Total yardage, the leader, 1,300, Zay Jones. And the most touchdown completions, Josh Doxson on the Patriots. Blocking-wise, Kropog was third highest in terms of sacks allowed. That's not good. In terms of total tackles, you get a look there. And the NFL sack leader, Myles Garrett. DeForest Buckner was second. So that does it. We are marching onward to the draft, where, of course, we will get a look at all the top talent. You guys will make that decision as far as what we do. It appears as though everyone is re-signed, so that is beautiful. Needless to say, we have the money to shell out, so why the hell not? Pro Bowl wise, let's be honest, we're not going to have anybody. It's a Falcons and Cleveland in the Super Bowl. Okay. Falcons and Browns Super Bowl. Super Bowl 58. That is a Super Bowl that I can support because that is hilarious as we will continue to scout out anybody on the offensive line who's actually worth it. Case in point, when I mentioned that we would probably have enough points to scout whoever the hell we wanted, that is indeed still the case. So, worked out for us pretty damn well. The Super Bowl goes to Cleveland, 20-17. So there you go. And again, in terms of draft stories, the Heisman went to the Clemson quarterback, Kerry Rhett, which does not help us whatsoever because we already have our quarterback. Again, in terms of player negotiations, we are set. There is not a single person there that we're worried about. Just a bunch of depth players that we had to sign for the year. So in terms of scouting, there's really, again, not a whole hell of a lot that we have left to do. It's just taking a look and figuring out of those lower rated offensive linemen who we want to waste points on. And we might as well scout out all the left tackles because why the hell not? At least the ones who aren't projected in the 7th round, of course. Chance Kramer. Don't tell me it's Kramer. It might be. I'm going to call him Chance Kramer. Good old Chance Kramer. Oh, that is just a great name. Let's see who else we have here. 32nd value. Man, I got $500 million in funds. I'm doing something right, and it's called not paying my players. As we have basically scouted out everybody that we need to. We're good to go. I'm going to waste these final few points, and then, yeah, we're fine. Don't even have to worry about it. We will skip the final week because, 7th round projected picks often aren't even worth looking at. So let's do it. To the draft we go. Although your free agency recap in terms of the top signings, Gilbert Baggs, Jesus Christ, 98. Kendall Fuller, Von Miller, Taiwan Steven, Austin Hooper. Some big-time players on the move this offseason via free agency. Damn, a 98. That is ridiculous. To the draft we go. Let's see who's available for us at the time of our first pick, which is 8th overall. The furthest back we have drafted in this series yet. Let's see who is available. So, in terms of quarterbacks, obviously we are not worried about anybody. I don't recall scouting him unless he really fell down the rankings. He did. Only way we draft a backup quarterback is if they fall, right? So we'll consider that later on, but they're not eligible really to take. Same thing with the 2 running backs. We don't have to worry about it. Wide receiver, though, of course, is a spot where we're hurting a little bit, and we do have Vincent Wilson still on the board, who was the #1 wide receiver. He is 22 years old, pretty fast, very agile, a ridiculous vert jump at 6'2", as a red zone threat, great spectacular catch rating as well. He very well could be the real deal and could be that #1 receiver that we need. There's also Rashad Ellerby, who is also 22 years old, great hands, strong, good vert jump as well for someone 6'4", doesn't quite have the speed and agility though. Projected to be a mid-first round pick. There's also a DeAndre Lutris, the 21-year-old, fast, can jump, not that agile. Pretty damn strong as well. Projected to be a mid-first rounder. George Henderson out of Alabama. Fast. Can jump at 6'4", 21 years old. There are some good options here. And Dave Barber, another 21-year-old. Good hands. Not that fast. Decently agile. Probably not worth taking with the 8th overall pick, and that is it for #1 talents. In terms of tight ends, there's only one that we would consider taking at this point, and Charles Bush jumped up in terms of ranking. That is Quinn Coppin out of Clemson, the 22-year-old, projected to be a late first-round pick, would be an amazing get in the 2nd round. Don't think he'd fall that far, however. In terms of left tackles, nobody that is worth taking here in the 1st round. At center, though, we do find our first O-lineman, that being Nathan Hansen out of Louisville, who at 22 looks like a beast. Ridiculous bench, relatively agile. Nathan Hansen pretty strong, but is projected as a late first-round pick. Tanner Shatley is also available, the 24-year-old, not going to have as much room for development, but is fast, relatively strong, only 34 reps though on the bench. In terms of right tackles, Demetrius Greenberry out of Penn State, 21 years old, strong, agile, could be worth it, but again, late first round projection might fall to the second round. On the defensive line, only 3 players, and they're all defensive tackles who might be worth taking, that being Jalston Hawley, hell of a name, really strong, agile as well, for the 21-year-old out of Georgia. Morgan Johnston, also 21 years old. Speed rusher, I can believe it. The bench press would certainly be a concern, but the agility lines up with him being a speed rusher. And Stanley Powers, 22, certainly lines up with him being a speed rusher. Linebacker-wise, it's Banks Austin, the 23-year-old, the only one that we'd probably consider there. Middle linebackers, we have Melvin Blair out of UCLA and Eric Powers out of Alabama, the 23-year-old. Right outside linebackers, just one, that being Avery Peak out of Pittsburgh, who hits like a truck. Corners, nobody in the first round. Safeties, just one, that being A.J. Ross, but he is a second-round projection. And Mike Marshall, who did not take place in the Combine, which is normally a pretty good sign. Again, the full team list is in the description, so take that into account before you vote in the poll. Every player we just mentioned will be eligible to be voted on. The choice is yours. I believe in you. Don't make me regret it. We're done here for now. Thank you guys for still supporting this series. It's not going anywhere. I'll see you in the next one as we continue onward. A strong season for the Cardinals. Good things could be on the way.